This is Capital Games Movie Club. I am the Wiz.
And I'm Kim Shactman.
Kim, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good.
I'm excited to talk about this movie.
All right. I was excited to see this movie and talk about it. So why don't we get right down to it? We are watching the 2021 film Licorice Pizza, starring Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. This film was nominated for 3 Oscars the year it came out, including Best Picture, Best Director, and if this page would load, I can find out the other thing. I think it was writing. Why won't
that makes sense since he wrote and directed it.
Yeah. Well, it's not loading, so I'm going to assume it's writing. Stupid IMDb. Anyway, now it loads. Ugh.
That's okay.
Yeah. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay. Yeah, everything Paul Thomas Anderson got nominated for this. Okay, here's what me and Kim are going to do. Instead of waiting for spoilers in the middle, we're going to spoil the movie and then the entire review. If you want to wait and watch the movie and then come back when you're ready, that's fine. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to post where the final thoughts are. So if you just want to see the ratings, that's fine too. And just come back for that discussion. So we're going to get into spoilers and the review for Licorice Pizza in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want to start before we get to the review of talking about my feelings on Paul Thomas Anderson as a director, and that before this movie, except for Hard 8, I haven't seen Hard 8, which is his first film, he's had nothing but fantastic films. We're talking Boogie Nights, which put him on the map, Punch Drunk Love, which is a personal favorite of mine, and then we have...
I do enjoy that movie, too.
Yes, very good movie. The Master, There Will Be Blood. My favorite of his is Inherent Vice, which is a little divisive for some people. And then Phantom Thread, which was the last movie he did, which was really good, and which was the final film that Daniel Day-Lewis has done. He does really good films. So I was really excited about seeing this film, and also really excited because the word of mouth of this was loud when it came out. What were your thoughts of the film before stepping into watching it, Kim?
It's pretty funny. I turned on the film and I had forgot a while back. My husband and I watched it together. Probably
Really?
like when it first came out. Yeah, it didn't even dawn on me. And then I was like, wait, I know this movie. But I watched it a second time because I kind of like forgot some scenes. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
I thought it was a great movie, but you know.
Yeah, no, we'll get into it. We'll definitely get into it. Like I've said, like Paul Thomas Anderson is probably one of the better directors out there right now, along with David Fincher. Martin Scorsese is still alive right now, so he's still considered that as well. When a new film from Paul Thomas Anderson comes out, I want to see it. That's how good he is at this point. Where if there's a new film, I want to see it regardless of what it's about. And since I do like coming-of-age movies, I was really interested in seeing this. So why don't we get into the review of Licorice Pizza, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Why don't you start, Kim? Why don't you go ahead, since you talked about it in the beginning, your thoughts on the film?
So I really enjoyed it. I liked the fact that it really kept my interest. Like I wanted to just keep seeing what happens next between the two main characters there, Hoffman and Haim. I felt that it was real for its time. It's based in the 1970s. And I felt like it was a realistic view of that time for, two somewhat kids kind of falling in love. And I don't know, I really enjoyed the way it was shot. I really enjoyed the storyline. I thought some of the cameos in it were really funny and well done. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Like it just kept my interest really well. My husband did too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he enjoyed it too.
I think the movie is very well shot, but that's, of course, a Paul Thomas Anderson thing. He is very good at creating a scene and putting interesting spins on certain scenes as well. He did in Boogie Nights. Magnolia was filled to the brim of that when that came out in 99. So this didn't surprise me, the look of the film and the way it's shot. I like how, even though it's set in the 70s, it is kind of dark to a certain extent. But it's not bleak.
No, it's not bleak at all. Like I didn't have that feeling.
No, not at all. Like the direction, the visuals, and everything of that, I think were very good in this. I did like the performance of Alana Haim in this. I thought she was very good in this as well. I'm kind of split on Cooper Hoffman. On one hand, I understand that his character is supposed to be obnoxious to a certain extent, and he's supposed to be a go-getter, and he's supposed to be that type of person that...
I mean, he's also a kid, right?
Right.
He's a kid in the movie.
So okay, I'm gonna get to I think my main problem with that. When
Continue.
That comes, okay. But the thing with Cooper Hoffman's performance as Gary in this is that, yeah, he's all these things, but you have to also believe that he's charming enough for an adult woman or to want to hang out with a 15-year-old kid. And that is where I had a lot of problems really diving into the film. Because on the one hand, you could debate on whether Alana, which is the character's name that Alana Haim's playing, is just in a perpetual state of stunted growth and stunted adolescence, to where she is 25 and has no direction and just doesn't know what to do, so she ends up hanging out with this kid. You could do that, but then...
She's completely lost.
She's
is completely lost.
Right. She is completely lost. But then you have the added issue of the fact that she's hanging out with kids. I don't know about you, Kim. I think I do know this about you. But if you are, let's say you're 23, 24, 25, and you find yourself hanging out with somebody who's 13, 14, or 15, wouldn't you feel a little weird right away? Unless you're taking care of them?
I mean, I must say, though, like, I think that, when I was 25 and, in my early 20s, like, there were times when I had hung out with, I wouldn't go as young as 13, 14, 15, but like 17, 18, 19-year-olds.
Okay.
So, because I think I just really related to Alana's character and like the writing, and I really did, because there are a lot of women out there that are self-conscious, that are lost, that are feeling alone, right? And they're just looking for that person that's going to notice them. And somebody that age is looking for somebody that they can sweep off their feet, and knowing that she's 25 years old and he's holding her interest is huge for him. So I think that's why I liked it, because I've kind of seen it happen.
Okay. Yes. But then the main problem I have with this film is that the film, and this might be me on this, the film doesn't criticize or hold Alana to account with the fact that there is a specific power dynamic in this relationship where she is purely in control. There should be, like, to me, a moral sense, and some people are going to roll their eyes hearing this, but there should be a sense that what she is doing is in some ways wrong.
Well, there's only like one moment in the film where she mentions, like, this is illegal or something. Like, you're 15 and I'm 25 and this is illegal. But that's it. Like, that's the only time it's mentioned.
But it's such a throwaway line, because it just feels like, whatever. It's the 70s. I'm like,
well, I was just going to say, it is. Technically, in the movie, it's the 70s. So, peace, love, and happiness, man. Like, let's smoke some pot and call it a day. Like, you have to remember that.
Sure. But here's the thing, okay? And I'm not going to invoke my parents all the time. So, after I watched this movie, I went out and I was making myself breakfast. And I talked to my parents. I'm like, I gotta ask you guys a question. Just, what is it? I watched a movie, and the first thing you hear from my parents is like, "Oh God!" It's like,
I was gonna say, like, what is this conversation going? Like, where's this going?
So I watched a movie, and it's set in the 70s. It's about a 25-year-old woman who strikes a friendship with a 15-year-old boy. Certain things happen in the movie, and yada yada yada. They fall in love. Was that accepted to a certain extent in the 70s? And they both said emphatically, no. It was not accepted. No, no, no. I was like, okay. So I was like, so that was like that's like the big thing that stuck in my craw in this movie, where I have no problem with movies that take these taboo subjects and do a story about them, as long as you're realistic about it. And try not to, and I guess this might be me moralizing, I'll admit, as long as you put it in the proper context. If there was a movie that basically was about sexual assault and it glorified it, I'd be fucking offended, and I would be like, this is fucking disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem I had with this film, essentially, is I had no problem with the fact that they explored that relationship. What the problem that I had is that at no point did the film seem to criticize or say about Alana in this film that this actually is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. This is
well, like
a
at the
bad
end
idea.
of the movie, it's like, you know, whatever, like they're in love, but
Right.
because you already spoiled it. But and then like after the movie, like, so then what happens? Like, do they get arrested? Like,
Yeah, exactly. The final thing. Yeah. The final line in the movie is them holding hands and
Yep.
Alana saying, I love you,
I love you, Gary.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God.
Like, I feel like you get swept into it, though. Like, I was so, like, moved by, like,
Okay.
their feelings for each other that, like, I kind of forgot about that.
Okay.
And then, but then I think you're absolutely right. Like, at the end, like, I was just like, okay, so now what's going to happen? Like, that's a huge age gap. Like,
Exactly. But, see, age caps aren't an issue if they're legal. Like, if you're telling me there's a... Like, one of my favorite romantic comedies is Harold and Maude, about a 20-year-old kid who falls in love with an 80-year-old woman. And
so I'd never seen that, but that sounds disgusting.
it's a good movie. Okay, they don't get too graphic, but it's a good movie. It's a funny movie, too. But because it's legal, it's okay. It might be a
Right.
little weird to some, but it's legal, so it's fine.
But I mean, the sad thing is like out west, and even in the United States, this shit happens all the time.
Oh, I know that.
And it's
Not
so
even
sad,
but
like,
let's
it's
not.
crazy.
But not just in the West. Also in the South, there are still people that
Yeah.
do arranged marriages, or they religiously marry 14 or 15-year-old girls to
Right,
make
which
their
is
wives.
creepy.
Yes, like that does happen, sure. But then you have to provide the right context. In this movie, again, they sweep it under the rug, go, yeah, you know, they're like 10 years younger, and it's crazy right at the end. And I'm like,
But at the
Whoa.
same time, like, you also have to remember a couple things. So
okay.
in the movie, I mean, I know technically she's supposed to be an adult, but she's a shit show. She's lost. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's out of her mind, right? Pretty much.
Okay.
But no other adults besides her sisters really know that this relationship is happening.
I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that she's 25 and she's a shit show.
She's a shit show. She
Okay,
is.
sure. I had to remind myself throughout the entire film that, because I kept thinking, oh, this girl's like 16, 17, right? Because Alana Haim, even though I think she's 30. Let me just double check here.
Oh, in real life, she's
Yeah,
30.
I think she's 30 years old. Let me find the birth.
She looks like she'd be 30.
See, but I did not think that. I thought she looked.
Well,
15,
like in the
16.
movie, I didn't think that, but like if somebody told me that, I'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, born in 91, so she is 30. She's at 31, which still surprises me.
But at the time of the movie, she was 29 because this was 2021, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Like that matters. It's like
I know. I was like, whatever. Hey, to a woman it matters.
Oh.
Not 30 yet.
Get off. Okay. Fine. To me, I kept having to remind myself. Like, I kept thinking, oh, you know, 17, 18, you know, whatever, you know, okay.
No.
And I'm like, no, she's supposed to be 25.
But the thing that pulls you back to reality, understanding that she is 25, is like she pulls away from Gary and goes and tries to get into these relationships with these older men that are like, well, not older, they're her age, right? Like numerous times. But she always gravitates back to Gary because he makes her feel wanted.
Okay. But instead of celebrating the stunted growth and the arrested adolescence that she is in, I think they should delve into that more. But instead, this movie just celebrated that to a certain extent. And I'm like, that really isn't something to celebrate. That's something to be like, maybe feel bad for her or maybe laugh at her or something. But point out at certain points in this that this really isn't a good idea. It's
well,
not
I think too, like in a way you're right, because I think they tried to make Gary seem older than he is, but they didn't do a very good job with it. Like, because remember, like he was a child actor, right?
Yes.
And then
he had
they
money.
they tried to show that he had money and he'd walk into a restaurant and everyone knew his name and this and that. and, buying new suits and trying to like razzle dazzle her with getting her into the show business and acting and all this stuff. And I think that they were trying to make him seem older than he was so that it would be less creepy, but it didn't stick. Like, it wasn't enough, like you said.
And I don't know whether to blame Cooper Hoffman on that or to blame the writing on that. Because, well, I think it's both, really. Because Cooper Hoffman looks too young to pull off
he
being
looks like
19, 20, 21. But the writing also made it quite clear that he is not a mature person. He is a go-getter. He is somebody that is what's the term?
A young entrepreneur.
Sure. Yes. He wants to do that. He wants to do that, absolutely. But at no point was I looking at this guy and thinking he had his life put together, or that he is somebody that is mature, or that is somebody that is stable in some sort of sense.
But I think that it just seemed like that's what the movie was. Like, that he's 15. She's 25. Yes. It's not legal, but they still love each other. They still love each other. That's the bottom line of the movie, and you cannot argue that.
Sure, but the problem that you have in that, then, is if you don't address the elephant in the room takes over the room. That's all that matters in that sense. You can't just wash over the fact that, hey, if someone has a problem with your relationship, Alana goes to jail. So you can't just sweep that under the rug and go, oh, and happy ending. Like, wait, what? And here's the other issue that I had, too, in this, is that the other characters in this movie not only said nothing about it, they openly encouraged the relationship.
Well, the sisters did, for sure.
The sisters who are older than she is.
Right. I almost think they were like, oh, she's the baby of the family. She can do whatever she wants. Like, whatever. Like, it was almost like, whatever. And it's like, really? Like, and also, too, like, knowing that she comes from this, like, strict Jewish background. Uh-huh. Like, you would think somebody would be like, hey, Dad, like, why is she going out with this 15-year-old?
No, and they're all like, oh, you should go back to Gary. I'm like, what are you doing? No!
Yeah, like towards the end of the movie when, she's looking for him or something, or he's looking for her. Yeah. And they say, the sister says, oh, she's still at the office or something. You know where she works. She's here or whatever. And then like, oh, like, does she want me to go there? And she's like, she misses you. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I
mean, like, the sisters must have known his age, right? Like, they didn't really clarify that. Like, if anyone else around them knew, like, how old he was, but I mean, I'd assume.
That is true. That they don't clarify whether they know the age or not. But then if you look at Cooper Hoffman, it is quite clear he is a teenager.
Yeah, like, but again, like, how would they know that he's, like, 15? Maybe they would think he's, like, 16, 17. Not that it makes it any better, but...
Like, it really doesn't make it any better.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think...
So, okay, I mean, we're going to go...
Maybe it was just me being, like, sappy, but, like, I realized it in the beginning that, like, this is illegal and they should probably mention this more. But then as, like, I got towards the middle of the movie and even a little bit towards the end, I was just, like, kind of enraptured and captured into their performances because I really liked the back and forth in the film on how they, like, she would pull away and then she would come back and then he would pull away and then he would come back, and they were like constantly chasing each other, and like literally in the movie there was so much running, right? They were always running somewhere or running towards each other. But then at the very end of the movie, as you depicted, when she says, I love you, Gary, I was like, I almost wish they just ended it with them running and she doesn't say anything. Or
they're running and then, boom, it's over.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You don't know what they're running towards.
Right, and you don't know, like, if she really, truly is in love with a 15-year-old boy, right? Because, like, throughout the whole movie, a lot of times when people ask them, are you in a relationship? They'd be like, no, we're just friends or we're just business partners. Like, there's no clarity there. So that's why, like, I almost feel like it works in the movie because if you think about it, they kind of hide it. right? Like from others, like it's almost like their little secret.
Yeah.
They're always together, but they're always either friends or business partners to everybody else.
See, this reminded me a lot of Inherent Vice. Inherent Vice was kind of divisive for some people. Some people really liked it, some didn't. And I think the main thing was the vibe and the feel of the movie was very distinct and unique. And I think you reacted very well to the vibe and the feel of the movie more than anything else.
For sure.
You enjoyed you let the whole thing wash over you, essentially.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Which
really did.
is fun, because that's what happened with me in Inherent Vice. Inherent Vice, the weird thing about that movie is the main plot of Inherent Vice ends before the first half of the movie is over. And then the rest, it just goes in another direction. And I really dug that about that movie. I thought it was really good, and I liked the feel and the vibe and the mood of the film. But that is very specific to certain people. So, so with that, you have to rely on that specific person to actually get drawn in by that, which I think you were in that, and that's fine.
I think that's what happened to me, because I also felt like it's not definitely, obviously, not just because of not just because of the age difference.
Man and woman want to fall in love. So gay. So gay, Kim.
I can't talk today. Oh my God.
Kim, are you gay for loving your husband?
Like, not just because of the age difference, but I just felt like it was a different type of love story. And I love different types of films that are romantic love stories that are not your typical, like, I just enjoyed that because it's just different.
Yeah, and
it holds my interest. That's the other thing.
No, so. I definitely agree. I feel the same way too. And I need to hear if you're gay for your husband.
Totally gay for my husband.
Absolutely. Good to hear.
Love him.
Yes, absolutely.
But I must tell you this.
Okay.
So something I did notice when I watched this, probably about when it first came out, about 2 years ago almost now. Mm-hmm. When I watched this the first time, mentally I was actually in a really depressed place that day. Okay. And it didn't hold my interest as much. I kind of like turned it on, and I think I actually fell asleep in the middle of it because it wasn't as engaging. But now that mentally I'm feeling a lot better now and stable, and watching it, like I thoroughly enjoyed it. So again, it just depends on how you're feeling that day and if it clicks with you or not. And like you said, the vibe. It's a
mood piece. It's a movie that I think people who are drawn to it need to be in a specific mentality, or maybe that's my problem with this too. Maybe you need to be in a specific mentality to let it wash over you and to enjoy it. That is certainly a possibility, because this movie, when it comes to plot, kind of goes nowhere. Like, really, it goes in many different directions in this, to the point where it kind of has no direction at all. Which is fine, as long as the mood and the feel of the movie washes over you. And it just did not do it for me. And I think the big thing I had the problem with is just what was going on in the movie itself. I felt, and I have reasons that I feel this way, other than, it's
like
illegal.
Personal reasons.
Yes. Yeah. Other than the fact that it's illegal. But when I look at relationships like this, a clear thing of an adult falling in love, or a kid falling in love with an adult not saying, that's nice, honey, but you still have a lot of living to do, and you can find somebody, yada yada yada,
but it's because she's really not an adult.
That's true. No, that I will agree with you there. That is true. But to me, I just can't get past the age difference in this. And people will say, "Oh,
but I
also
think
but a number."
But I also think it's interesting that she's the older one. I feel like it's a lot, and I don't know why, but I feel like it's a lot more creepy when the male is the older, the predator.
And that's probably why it is that way. Because if it was the opposite, it would be a far more disturbing movie.
Oh, I would hate this movie. I would be like, oh my God.
No,
but again,
absolutely.
I truly think that, it did wash over me, but I also, I feel like I kind of was her at that age, so I can relate.
Wait. Clarify. Please clarify.
Just a shit show.
Okay.
Like a total shit show. Like, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, tried a bunch of different careers, wanted to be an entrepreneur but couldn't make it, pining over not men that were younger than me, but men that were mentally younger than me,
Okay,
So it's kind of like, I don't know, like, I get it. Like, the only thing that was missing from this movie for her, I feel like, was like substance abuse with the way she was. Like, she wasn't a drinker or on drugs or anything like that. It's almost like being wanted and needed by a man was like her drug.
Yeah. I mean, if they went that route, I mean, then that would entirely excuse the mentality of what she was in, which I think would distract from the film itself. I think that would probably not be a great idea in that end. But
right. I don't know, though. I think in a little bit we can argue, and you can kind of understand that. Again, it's like, how would anyone really know that they were like totally pining over each other in the movie? You knew from the beginning
that Gary was in love with her. You knew from the beginning.
No, I know, but like other characters in the film, like how would they know?
They've asked.
Just because
if they were in a relationship. They
yeah, and they were like, no, we're friends.
You know how that is like. You've had friends who
I
say
know, but
they're
like,
not into each other, but you know damn well they are.
But then you see them like working together, like physically working, with the waterbed business, and she's lifting boxes and she's opening like physically working with each other. So it's like, maybe they really are just friends in their business. Like, there's some argument there.
It is definitely a back and forth. It is definitely something that leads up to that to a certain extent. But as that's starting to happen, I'm waiting for this is a bad idea, right? And I didn't see that. Like, and you're right on one aspect of Alana, is that she is emotionally and mentally very immature. She's with a well-known actor at the age of 25, and she's sticking her tongue at her ex-friend who is 15 with another 15-year-old girl. And I'm thinking, like, huh? Okay. But
she likes the attention that he gives her, and that's why she does that, because she's stooping to his level as well from an age gap perspective. But I think that at the beginning and a little bit throughout the movie, I also felt like she was like money hungry, right? Like, so is
Gary.
Right. But I mean, like, money hungry in a sense of, I'm going to be with a man and he's going to support me, not like I'm going to work really hard to earn a living. And I guess that kind of goes along with maybe the 70s. I don't know. I didn't grow up in that time, but
that could be.
Because think about it, like, every man she tried to get with outside of Gary was like, had money.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of an angle that I thought of.
That is certainly a possibility, but I don't think they would dive into it all that much. I think.
Right. It's just something I kind of noticed, because she wasn't going for like some schlub on the street, right, outside of Gary. She was going for the politician.
Gary wasn't the schlub either.
Right. No, I know, but that's what I mean. Like, instead of Gary, she wasn't going for like some like homeless dude on the street or like some bum. You know what I mean? Like, she was attracted to men that had money and were doing well for themselves or had a big purpose in life,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can see where you're getting at with that, but I get what you're saying.
I think you're personally having a hard time wrapping your head around the age.
Oh no, wrapping my head around is not the problem. Knowing it's wrong is the problem. That's the thing, and I think the film. I mean. Okay, I want to clarify this specifically. If you want to make a movie about this, and then to have the end being they're in a romantic relationship, that's fine. But you can't just ignore the fact that it is A, illegal, and B, kind of wrong. I mean, if you show or notice the fucked up parts about the age difference and the dynamic of that, then I would have no problem watching the movie and seeing it for what it is. But the fact that maybe you disagree, the fact that I feel like it glorifies that is, I think, a big problem with me on that. Like, if you were to come out and have this movie, maybe some characters will point, or specific characters will point out to Alana, you know you're hanging out with a 15-year-old, right? You know that he's just a kid, right?
Well, I'm
You know
also
that-
surprised, like, that they didn't pull in Gary's mother more. Because she was, like, wasn't she, like, his public relations person? Like,
I don't
wasn't
think she was, no.
I
But
thought that he said that in the beginning.
maybe. But I think not having the mother there would score the fact that he essentially is on his own. If his mother was there, and then the mother condoned the relationship, that would add another fucked up kind of family dynamic.
Well, no, like, as in, like, having her be like, what are you doing? Like, you're 15 and she's 25 or whatever.
But that would also mess with the vibe of the movie, I think.
True.
Like, if you would have... this movie has a very... not happy vibe. Well, kind of. But it's a more positive...
It's almost like
kind
two
of
people that are pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
In a sense that are being fucked up together, and it makes them happy because they're not alone in the sense that they are fucked up. Like,
it's a live, let live vibe in this.
Exactly.
And I don't mind people who are live, let live or believe in that as long as they're not harming anybody. But in this case, when if it was lit, let live, and the guy likes to murder people, I'm like, you know.
Yeah, I think that's pretty bad.
Yeah, you know, I don't know.
Killing people is bad.
Yeah.
Like,
so, like, if you say, "Hey, let live," and it's statutory rape, I'm like,
Well, I do like you have to say though, I do like the fact in this movie that they don't really get sexual. Like, there's only like one part where she shows him her boobs, and then like another part where he almost attempts to touch her boob, but it doesn't happen.
Well,
I like the fact that they don't do that.
Well, he does get head from somebody.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
When?
Remember the scene when they're in the waterbed store and she peeks into the window to find it, and all you hear is...
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not from her.
No, it's not. Yes, it's not from her.
It's from like a younger girl, isn't it?
Right.
Like someone his age.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay.
Which causes her to then make out with a random guy, and then she's high and walks home in the outfit.
But like, they don't show it happening. You can only hear
no,
it.
you can't because he's too young. You can't do that. Of course not. But they do get sexual, but they just don't show it in this. And yes, there is...
No, but I'm talking about the main characters.
Yes,
they don't at all in the whole movie.
Well,
there's sexual tension.
Wouldn't showing somebody's genitals or boobs be sexual in nature? Like, if I were to send you a photo of my penis, wouldn't that be sexual?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you know?
But when you put it in that context...
You know what? Let's test the theory. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god!
I'm kidding.
Close all devices.
No. Husband?
What the fuck? I'm not doing this shit anymore. No, like, let me rephrase that. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I guess it's more like they're not touching each other.
Okay,
like, there's no like physical, like, so it's like
they don't give into their sexual desire.
Their desires, exactly.
Okay.
But if somebody said to them, and I know it's illegal. I'm not condoning this, but I'm just looking at this from, a perspective of, let's say it was the 70s and I was in this movie and I was a separate character, whatever. Like, they don't touch each other. They only hold hands. I mean, yes, they're kind of pining over each other, but like, is it still illegal if they haven't done anything? Is it though? Like,
is it? Yeah,
because how can they prove that? Like,
that's
they're
a good
just
question.
What if they just say, we're just friends? We're just friends. We're just business partners. Like, so I think that's my argument is like, how, like, yes, I do understand that, like, it is wrong and maybe they should have depicted that a little bit more in the movie, but like, did they really have to?
Yeah, I don't know the intricacies of statutory rape.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it.
Please don't. I don't want to know. All I know is I'm not gonna. I just don't want to be involved in that. I don't want to even be ill. Like, no. But
okay, I won't see. I'll just look it up and I'll keep it to myself.
Okay, fine.
In the movie, let's just say in the movie, it doesn't show them having any contact sexually, like with like touching each other or anything like that.
Sure. Okay. Yes. That is true. That's true. I think the one of the other problems that I have with this movie is that this is definitely an adolescent male sexual fantasy movie, but the main character is the woman.
Yeah.
And I felt that was kind of weird to a certain extent. Because
I kind of liked it, though.
Okay. I mean, well, it is interesting, but to me, if the main character is the woman, I would think that you would want to base the movie around that woman. Like
have her have like a fantasy of a younger man or boy.
Sure.
Basically, is that where you're going with this?
Maybe, sure. Or her having the complicated feelings regarding that. That's the other thing. At no point did I see anything except for maybe one scene where the character goes, maybe this is not a good idea. Or maybe I should maybe I should really think about what I'm doing here.
But I think she was so lost that she just didn't care.
Sure.
Like, she was like, makes me feel happy.
But again, like, the movie, I think, is more of a mood and a vibe piece. And then I think if I fell into that, I think I would be okay with the movie to a certain extent. Yeah. But I just was not. The mood and the vibe didn't hit with me. And then when that didn't hit, then everything else started tumbling down. I think is what happened in this one. But
you got a negative vibe from it right from the beginning.
Not right from the beginning. Just right from the beginning. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it just like once you figured out what this was about and the relationship and the age gap and like how it really wasn't how it was being portrayed, you were just like, no, this is not a positive experience.
But again, I want to point out, if the movie, when this movie was being advertised, being shown off, and it was getting all this award consideration and everything, my thought was, it's about two teens. That's what I thought, because Alana Haim did not look like an adult. She looked like a teenager to me. And
I didn't see any of the advertisement for it, so I wouldn't know.
And Cooper Hoffman definitely looked like a teenager. Like I was.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, it's a teen coming of age movie, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Okay, I'm there. Awesome.
Right.
And then once you realize the woman is 25, and they meet at his high school,
they threw you for a loop.
Yeah, I was like, wait. I must have heard that wrong. And I rewound, and I was like, oh, you're 25. Oh my God. I was like, what the hell?
Like, what am I watching?
That's exactly what I said. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
And for me, I just kind of went with it. I was like, okay, all right.
That's fine. That's fine.
This is what they wanted to portray, so let's keep going with this. And then like you said, I kind of just fell into the mood of it, and I was like, oh. But I really don't like the end. I don't like the way they ended it at all.
Yeah, I think it would probably have been better off if they were to just either
just shut her mouth and keep running.
Either keep running or like the time where they meet after running and then they kiss is just like, I think before that happens, end it. Specifically, they should end it when they're running. And then don't even show them seeing each other.
No kiss.
No seeing each other. Nothing. End it.
Right.
And then make the audience think, I wonder what happened. And then
that would have been great.
And then you would have people going, I wonder if they got together. And then someone would be with me like, no, that would be illegal.
I wonder if they got arrested.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be you. Oh, are they in jail right now?
Yeah. So then, well, he won't be. He'll be high-fiving his friends going, hey, bro, guess what I did with a 25-year-old bro? And then she'd be doing 10 years in Rikers.
She'd be screwed.
Well, it's California, so Rikers is in New York. But, she would be in jail. But he would be high-fiving everybody. He's like, high five, bro. But that's actually not exactly true. But I think if they kept that ambiguous, I think I would have a much more positive, not very positive, but I would have a little more of a positive feeling at
better
the end of the
outlook,
movie.
Yeah.
Right, but in the end, I just was like, oh, what?
But can we let's talk about the cameos.
Go ahead. So, cameos. We had Sean Penn, Tom Waits. We had Bradley Cooper. He was unhinged.
I loved it. And that's when my husband was like cracking up. He's like, this is great. Like, oh.
That kid
so
fucking
funny.
deserves it. I hope he smashes his head in.
Like he's just like, are you fucking with me? Are you like he's just so like the way he's so good. I love him.
Yeah.
I love Bradley Cooper. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what's not to love about Bradley Cooper?
Oh yeah, Bradley Cooper. You know, he wears a good beard.
He does. He does.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I agree. I thought his thing was funny. I don't get why Sean Penn was the world famous actor in this. I mean,
Was he an actor or supposed to be like a director?
No, he was
I
an
didn't
actor.
really get that.
He was an actor.
Okay.
He was acting in the scene with Alana, in that scene where
With the motorcycle.
yeah, or in the desk scene where they were doing that scene in there. John C. Reilly was in this for like a few seconds if you would catch him. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, the cameos are neat, I guess, but they're
I liked it. I thought it was inventive. Like, I was like, oh, this is funny. Like,
sure.
Most of them were like a little bit of humor.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
And then who's the guy that I forget his name? The guy that played the gay guy to the politician.
Oh, not Benny Safdie. The one that played his lover is what you're talking about.
When she meets him at the dinner table, and then she walks him home, pretending to be his girlfriend.
I think it's Dan Sheridan. I'm not.
I like
entirely
him.
sure.
I thought
Yeah, he was
like,
good. Yeah.
I mean, he only had a teeny tiny part, but he was like at the end when she walks him to the door and he's crying, and he's like, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And she's like, "Yes, no, I don't know." And then he's like, "Men are all shit, aren't they?" And she's like, "Yes." And
Yeah.
then they hug, and I was just like, "Oh." You know, it's just a nice little moment.
And that would be the great scene for her to run and then end the movie. Like, she's running away from the situation that is clearly not good for her. That, I think, would be the best ending of this movie. And I would go from really not liking this to passively recommending to a certain extent. But I
think it, honestly, from what I'm hearing from you, I truly think it's because of personal experiences, maybe.
Yeah, I just don't like kids
Or
having
past.
relationships with adults.
I know, but then I'm like, okay, well, what if,
Okay.
you know, let's do another scenario.
Uh-oh.
And again, maybe we're reading too much into this, or maybe I am.
Go
But
ahead.
so let's say at the end of the movie, they do love each other, you know, no doubt about that, and they kissed. But let's say, so he's 15, right?
Yep.
He's got 3 years till he's 18.
Right.
Let's say they either wait it out and they don't do anything else, you know, with each other on a sexual level, and they're just still business partners because they've been doing that for quite some time.
Okay, so she's grooming him. Go ahead.
No.
Is it not grooming? Come on.
Well, he's just into it too. And then
He's 15!
And then they turn 18. Well, yeah. And then he turns 18, and then they end up being together. Or they figure out within those 3 years or sooner that this is illegal and we shouldn't be doing this.
I think the real thing that would happen in that is that if they were to wait until they're 18, he would get antsy, he'd get horny, and he would want to get sex now, so he'll cheat on her. And then I think that
could happen too. Right? And then she'll spiral even more, hit rock bottom, and then maybe find Jesus.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
Whatever.
Sure. That's fine. But then, again, that would conflict with the mood of the movie. This movie, I think, is supposed to be more of a mood piece and a vibe piece than anything else. And I think that's what people really get out of it, is that, that they don't really pay attention or really even care about what's going on screen. It's just the vibe and the mood of the movie is what really attaches them to it.
Like you said, the live and let live. And
yes.
Not everybody has that in their life.
Right, and I felt the vibe and mood thing really is specific to the person who's watching the movie. I love Inherent Vice. I think Inherent Vice is an excellent movie. I think
I'll need to watch that.
I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson's. I'm sorry. Go ahead, say that again.
I said I really need to watch that because you keep commenting about how good it is.
Right, and it's got Joaquin Phoenix. So,
ooh, I love him.
Yes. And not a lot of people like that movie. A lot of people felt a little weird about that. But because I dug what the mood and the vibe of that movie, I had a much more positive experience in that. And I think that's where I am having that disconnect really with a lot of people who like this movie, is that they dig the vibe. They dig the feel and the mood of this movie. And they like that. And kind of wash away that ickiness that's in the movie. Whereas, since I did not buy into the mood of the movie, I'm looking at this and going, oh my God, what the fuck am I watching? There are movies, I'm pretty sure there are movies that I really like, that if I really thought about them and go, yeah, that's wrong. It's like, that's not really a good thing to do. But because the mood or the feel or what they do differently in the movie just registers with me, that I end up liking the movie. I'm pretty sure there are movies that I have that I like that are like that. I just didn't dig the vibe and the feel of the movie. It just didn't wash me away. So then what's left is, okay, so what am I watching? What is the substance of the movie? Oh. It's like, oh, this is what it is?
Yeah, since you didn't jive with the vibe, I guess you could say it's like, this is the plot.
Yeah.
And it becomes more like factual at that point.
Right. And I just want to clarify, I did like Alana Haim in this movie. I want to see her in more movies.
I think she did an excellent job.
I am really not sure about Cooper Hoffman, though. I
think he did okay. I didn't think it was like the worst.
But when they advertised this movie, they made it clear that this is the son of the world-famous and world-renowned actor Philip Seymour Hoffman. And the advertisements and the people who were critics and everything were saying, oh, like it's like Philip Seymour Hoffman coming back to life. And I'm watching this going, no. Nah.
Yeah, I think he could have done a little bit better job of being trying to be more charming.
Yeah, I honestly
I definitely think she carries him though.
Yes, no, definitely.
You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that. I think there could have been a better actor they could have gotten for Gary, and I think there are just better actors out there, and I don't think Cooper Hoffman was right for it. That's my opinion, at least. I think there could have been a better younger actor out there that could have done this and done it a lot better. My opinion on that, anyway.
I just want to mention really quick is I really love the part when what's his face is at the dinner table with the parents and he says he's an atheist.
I felt so bad for that guy.
I just thought it was funny because they're all just like, what the fuck? And then she walks outside. She's like, what did she say to him? She's
Are
like,
you circumcised?
Yeah, no, but she says something
Show me your
like,
penis.
What does your penis look like? That's what she says. What does your penis look like? And he's like, I don't know, an average penis.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so stupid, but so funny. And then she's like, are you circumcised? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, then you're a Jew.
At least, you know, I appreciate a guy who's honest about his penis size.
And his religion.
Yeah, not so much, but you know, like, if a guy's Christian and says, you know, I have a small dick, I'm like, oh, okay, I respect that.
It was just funny. I was like, oh my god.
So many guys were like, yo, bro, 11 inches of pure wood, baby. And I'm like, yeah, sure you are, pal.
Like, you're so full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you get a guy who's like, yeah, you know, Maverick's not that impressive, you know. But either he's doing it to save face and just be like, yeah, whatever. It's not the most important thing. Or that when a girl finally sees it and it just smacks her in the face when it comes out, it's like, oh my god, I thought you were small. It's like, I lied. So.
Oh my god.
Sometimes the element of surprise is the best thing that you can give to somebody in a relationship. Advice from somebody who's eternally single. Anyway.
I was gonna say, how the fuck do you know? You're so funny.
Anyway, you want to get into final thoughts before I divulge more?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, okay, go ahead. Your final thoughts and your rating.
I give it a solid 4.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I really did get swept up into this movie, into the vibe, into the live or let live, and I don't know, I guess I'm just dirty because I just felt okay. I just felt okay with the 15, 25-year-old relationship. But I think, again, from my personal opinion and perspective, I've been there. in her position of feeling lost,
Okay.
not in a relationship with a 15-year-old, but
Yes,
a
please
feeling
clarify that.
lost. And I could see how it could go that way
Mhm.
very quickly when you're in that state of mind. So I also, as we mentioned before, I love the way the film was shot.
Yes.
And as you said, Paul Thomas Anderson is known for that, which is awesome. Now I just want to watch like way more of his movies based on that. And I don't know, I think they could have done the ending better, but overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie and I would watch it again.
Well, coming out of the film, I was leaning towards 1 or 1.5 stars. And it was mainly, like we've talked about, it's mainly to do with the substance of the film, and that I didn't like Gary that much. I didn't like Cooper Hoffman that much in the movie. And I just didn't really strike a nerve with the vibe of the film. That being said, I'm going to give it 2 stars because I think the film is shot really well. It is very beautiful to look at, and I love the music. Something we did not talk about. The music is really good.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I forgot to mention that. Excellent music.
Yes,
excellent.
absolutely. So
which helps make that vibe and that experience.
Yes, absolutely. The aesthetics of the film are outstanding. I really like the way it looks and the way that it sounds in this. But the feel and the mood of the movie just didn't land. And again, like I will say again, the mood and the feel is something that is very specific to certain people. Some will really dig it. Some won't. Mm-hmm. So I won't turn around and say I don't think anybody should watch it. I think if you're not bothered by the substance, go ahead and watch it. Bear in mind, when you do watch it, it is relying on you to just wash yourself into it. And if you can do it, you might really enjoy it. I couldn't do it, and I didn't get into the vibe of the movie, so I just ended up... But I do recognize there is some strong points, including the direction and the sound and Alana Haim's performance. I think she was actually pretty good, and I want to see more of her in that. So 2 stars for me for Licorice Pizza, 4 stars for Kim. Okay, Kim. God, we finally got to disagree about something. How about that?
And we don't like hate each other afterwards. It's great.
Well, you've recognized that I'm so superior in intelligence that it's not worth hating.
Oh God!
So
shut up.
It's good for you to recognize that at a very young age.
Hey, I argued some pretty good points there.
Oh yeah, just the points of what does it matter if she's into a 15-year-old boy? Yeah, those are good points.
Yeah, it's the 70s.
It was disco. They were all fucked up back then.
They're all fucking each other, like whatever. Oh, let them be kids and pretend they're kids, I guess, for her. Anyway.
They were at the discotheques doing that all the time. What are we gonna do, huh? Like, yeah, okay, Kim, great. Jesus Christ. Well, this is the last episode with Kim here. No, I'm kidding.
We're done here.